Hi guys, welcome to my review of the GameMat.eu Gothic Ruin set. This is going to be the first video in a series I do, reviewing many different sets of terrain. The plan is for it to be an honest review, you know, as it is. You know, I've got no sponsorships, I haven't had anything sent to me for free. I've bought everything that you'll see in these videos with my own money, so I can say whatever I like about them. Now that does not mean that these are negative reviews. I'm not just making them to, you know, trash popular things, so don't worry about that. It will just be an honest opinion from a gamer. We're starting off with, I think this is probably, I don't know if it's officially the first pre-painted terrain set, but it's certainly one of the front runners, the oldest one I can think of, and it's the, you know, it's the original set, I think, that really, you know, kick-started this whole fish tank decoration kind of board decorating, which is something I was doing, you know, buying those sorts of things from aquarium shops, you know, before this sort of resin terrain became a thing. It's, you know, it's good. I wouldn't say it's necessarily one of my favourite sets. I do like the way it looks. I like this piece especially. It looks like Whitby Abbey, in my opinion. I'm going to set it all out on the table in a minute and, you know, do a proper overview on the table with some models and all that sort of thing. But just as an introduction, it's £129, which is not cheap, of course. You know, anything that's £100 or so, that's a lot of money. It's about a third of what I make every week. You might be in a better position than me, but you know, maybe not. It's a lot of money, £100, and you know, £125. It's, you know, you're going to consider it before putting money down on it, and I think it's important to get you know, an honest opinion from someone that has actually paid for it and not just been sent it. So that's what this is going to be. I am generally speaking happy with this set. Like I said, it's not necessarily going to be negative. I am happy with this set. I think it's a good set for the money that you pay. It's nice, you know, nice pieces. They're not solid, they're hollow, and I have had some breakages. I mean, this bit was broken in the box. I didn't complain because it doesn't really matter, but you know, you might encounter some problems with the hollowness. Don't know if you can hear that, but you know, there's quite thin in some parts, and that's where it broke. They're painted nicely, you know, for something that it's dry brushed, but it's a good dry brushing. It's not like a rough dry brushing that you get on some cheap figures and that sort of thing. It's a good dry brushing. It's, you know, the same as I would have done, probably maybe better than I would have done. You could continue to paint it if you wanted to, but even if you do plan to paint it to you know, an even higher standard, it's definitely a good baseline to kick off from. You know, if I was going to do anything, it might be to add some snow or maybe some greenery, vines or something, but you know, it's good as it is. I love pre-painted terrain like this. I'm really, well, I don't want to say lazy, but I've got a lot of models to be getting on with, and I just don't have that much time to be, you know, building and even painting my own terrain a lot of the time. I've got Games Workshop plastic terrain. Too much of it. It's not, you know, most of it's not built and none of it's painted because I just haven't got the time to sit and paint those kind of models when I have armies of actual figures that I need to get through. So being able to buy these mats, you can't see the mat, I might do different reviews, but you know, these battle mats and these terrain sets, they're an absolute lifesaver to go on the internet, you know, pay £100-something and just take it out of the box and you're ready to go. So I'm going to zoom out because I think that's the best way I can really talk about the details on this thing, if I can focus into them and show you this whole thing set up on the table. Okay then guys, I've got my table set up with this terrain set. It looks pretty good, just straight up. It's not too sparse. You wouldn't really want, maybe obviously some rubble, maybe some more sort of barricade type things or rubble patches, that sort of thing, but really when it comes to large blocks of terrain, I don't think you'd really want much more than this. It's a pretty good set. It's £129 and I'm pretty happy with how much you get in it. Now again, you can see you've got one big centerpiece There you can see my Chaos Knight behind it. It's more than big enough to cover him. In fact, if I just scoot him over and place him behind this one, you can see that even the smaller ruin is still enough to hide him. You get 2 of these, just the one of those larger pieces, 2 of these sort of medium-sized pieces, 2 of these smaller sized sort of semi-medium pieces, and 4 of these very small pieces. But even the medium-sized ones, plenty to hide a knight behind. Now, as I might have mentioned earlier, I was not a fan of this set during 8th because it really doesn't block line of sight at all. It's just full of windows. You really couldn't block line of sight. And it was very important in 8th to just have line of sight blocking terrain everywhere. Now, they do supply you with some of these, but they didn't give you enough. Now, what you do with these is you would put them in behind here and fill up the hole, and you had these longer ones to go in this central ruin, but they don't actually give you enough to fill all the holes. You could do maybe half. You could do 2 out of this one and 2 out of this one, or fill in all 4 gaps in that one and just have one that was completely open. It would have been nice if they sold them separately or just gave you enough the first time to be able to fill all the holes, but there you go. Luckily though, in 9th edition, they've just got the obscuring rule. So, you know, we ignore these holes essentially. If they're over 5 inches high, which they all are, apart from these smaller ones, then they just count as obscuring. So that's actually, I never really used this set during 8th because of that reason, but now in 9th, I think, you know, it could see a bit of a rebirth for this set, for me at least, because now that, you know, you can't just see straight through this and shoot the knight, now it's actually obscuring. Oh no, I just remembered, knights don't benefit. Never mind. But for this Land Raider, for example, if he was behind this ruin, he would benefit from obscuring at least. So, you know, there's that. They're more useful. You can at least hide a tank, or over here I've got the Mauler Fiend behind this one. So again, that's nice line of sight blocking terrain. Even these smaller ones, you can see I've got my Dreadnought here. Even these smaller ones are plenty to hide the Dreadnought. He could stand inside them, you know, and still benefit this way. So they're big enough. Small, you know, tanks like Vindicators, the Rhino I've got behind these set. You can, you know, he's easily out of line of sight from not just a bigger one, but if you positioned him well behind these smaller ones, you know, easily out of line of sight. So it's pretty good in that regard actually. There's some nice big chunky pieces, and again, I feel for the price, it's actually, you get a substantial amount in this set. I really do think you get a good amount in this set, and it's really well painted. As far as, you know, out of the box dry brushing goes, it's looking really good. Much better than their industrial sci-fi set that I talked about in one of my other videos. Now, there are some downsides. One of the main downsides I have with this is the amount of rocks you've got littered over these. You can see there's a lot of rubble. It's not too bad on this kit, this set, because it's quite a big space. You can easily have your guys in between them, but when you come to these smaller ones, most of the space to stand up is really just taken up by these rocks, and it's pretty hard to actually get your guys fitting in here without some real jiggling around in wobbly model syndrome. It's a shame that so much of the space is, because there's not much space to begin with, and this is one of the things that's always put, you know, me and my friends off of using this set. Besides the line of sight issues, you just can't really stand people on anything that comfortably, because there's just these rocks everywhere. And I know what they're doing. I know the idea is that it's fallen masonry, but it's just not nice to see models doing this because there's rocks everywhere. And again, in there you can see that's kind of awkward. And this piece specifically, actually, again, you can see here you've got this middle level, but it's too short to actually fit anybody in. I can't get these Iron Warriors to go in here. It's just a bit too short, so that's a bit of an issue. As far as standing space goes, there's not very much. I can just about get my 3 Terminators on this one. I could maybe hug most of a squad of 10 around the outside, but really, it's not the most user-friendly kit that I've ever had. It's not hugely interactive, just because of those sorts of limitations. But I think that's probably the main downside that I would have to talk about. Is it's not huge. It's not great for that interaction. Now you do get these wall sections here and here. These again, they're plenty big enough to fit Marines behind. Terminators can go behind them easily. They're quite good. I actually think they are quite good, and they sell them separately. So if you wanted to, you could get loads of them and really, really fill this board up with maybe another couple of sets of them. The trouble is, it is the same 5 designs repeated, so it might look a bit samey if you have too many of them. But I think if you split them up enough, it's definitely a good addition to this set, and it is an addition to this set. They used to sell the set without them, and then they took it down for a while and put it back up with these. So that's a nice change. One thing I like about this big middle piece, so I'll just take these models off here. And I don't know if I'm the only person noticing this, but I really like this style they've gone for. It's a bit different to what you normally get from these traditional sort of Gothic ruins that they do, but the reason I like it is it looks to me a lot like Whitby Abbey here in the UK. There's a place called Whitby Abbey, and it's one of the buildings that inspired Bram Stoker when he was writing Dracula. It looks just like this. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if it took inspiration, but that's the image I get when I look at this. I think it's really nice. What else can I say? And here you go. Just by adding some forest sets to this nice ruined set of ruins, so you've got a real nice board coming along already. Whether we're talking about these being the ruins of an attack, or whether it's an ancient ruin that's been here a long time. I like that idea, that it was a city that's been here a long time and the trees have actually grown up through it, rather than it being destroyed by something. You can see just by adding some extras, you get a really nice terrain set. Really nice terrain set. And you can buy these trees just straight off of eBay. So if you bought this GameMat terrain set and then you went to eBay, got some of these trees, I mean it's perfect. It's a great kit to just start off with. You've got this mat. This mat I believe is from Deep Cut Studios. It's just a grassland mat, I think. So for £125 I think it is for this ruin set. £60 probably for the mat, and then another 60, maybe £80 for the trees, maybe £100 or so for the trees. It's a good board. I think that this terrain set does a really good job at starting you off, and then you can just use your imagination to make a full board out of it. Well, there you go. So to summarise then, it's a good set. I'm happy with it. I may buy another one, to be honest. I like the idea of doing what Winters does and has 2 of these to make a big thing in the middle. It is a nice set. I do think it's worth the money. There's other choices. There are other choices out there for the same kind of price. It's going to be up to you, personal preference, whether you choose to go for those instead. But I think it definitely stands up, despite being one of the original kits. I think it definitely still stands up today. I wouldn't say it's something that's been surpassed by other kits that you might want to choose instead. I think it's really good. I think it still stands up. And if you're looking to buy one mat, one set of terrain because you're starting off, I'd say it's a good recommendation. And if you've already started off and you've got your gaming room and everything, and you've already got some mats and some other terrain, it's definitely a good set of terrain to get. If you're playing 40k, I would recommend getting some kind of something electrical, some kind of power supply set, some kind of generator type set, because it is a full medieval castle set. There's nothing science fiction about any of these pieces there. If you're playing fantasy or Age of Sigmar, it'd be perfect. For 40k, You probably are going to want to invest in some other elements to make it look a bit more spacey, but it's good. So yeah, I've got a positive recommendation for this one. No problems really. It's better now, like I said, in 9th edition than it ever was in 8th or 7th or whenever it came out. It did have big issues with line of sight, but now that's not the case so much because of obscuring. Yeah, that was the main issue I had. Like I said in the larger overview, bit of bit of fiddly positioning it can be because they've got all this rubble over the stuff. But no, it's a good set. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you in the next video.